Hi, I'm Sandra. Welcome to Create in Spain, and today I'm going to be using Procreate. Procreate is a brilliant painting app which is available for the iPad. Now I'm using the iPad Pro, the smaller version, and an Apple Pencil, and I can thoroughly recommend the combination. I find it's really great, nice and accurate. What I'm going to do is just give you some basics. They've recently done quite a big update on Procreate and made it much more user friendly. And so I thought you might like to see what's been going on. Now, first of all, when you open Procreate, you want to be able to choose your canvas. Now, top left here, I've got a photograph, which I'll be working on in a minute. But if you want to make a new canvas, you simply click on the plus button on the right hand side and choose your size of canvas. If you want to import an image, such as the photograph, click on the import and select where you want to import it from. If you want a new canvas size, you can do whatever size canvas you like. You can set the DPI, and I honestly would think that it's most sensible to have a DPI of about 300 for most uses, if not higher. You can have it in pixels, inches, centimetres or millimetres, and you can set it up to whatever size that you like, and it will save that for you. So I'm just going to open up this picture here, and you can see that the menu is nice and simple, it doesn't take up much space. There is, on the left hand side, there is a slider bar, and this is for use with brushes and things, so you can easily change the size of your brushes and the opacity. That one's the size, and underneath is the opacity of the brush. Okay, so you can alter that quite easily. The gallery you've just seen, the wrench here or the spanner, gives you various actions that you can perform. This one is the insert option, which is for inserting images, taking a photo or pasting from the clipboard. You then have the canvas one, which you've seen. You have a share button, which means you can share it to email or social media. Devices, that's simply so you can pair up your pencil or whatever tool it is that you're using. And you have preferences, which has quite a lot of different options. But the one which is particularly useful to know about is the advanced gesture controls. Now, if you click on that one, you get another window up, which has got various sections in it. And you can set this up to do your favourite things, the things you do most often, in the way that you prefer to do them. So that's nice and easy to do. And then you just get out of that by clicking across. On the last option, we have the help, which is information on what's new, restoring purchases, advanced settings, customer support, community, so you can get through to the forum, and various other bits of information. So those are fairly straightforward. This one is your adjustments. Now bear in mind, if you're making an adjustment, sorry if you can hear any background noise, there's a road sweeper going down the road. You have to have something selected in order to adjust it. If you don't, and you're probably just going to end up with pen or brush strokes over your picture. Okay, so select and then adjust. This one is your selection tool. Now, I'm not brilliant on selection. It's not something I tend to use the app for. But you have a couple of different modes. You have freehand and automatic. Now, if I click on freehand, this one is pretty self-explanatory. If you're used to any drawing apps whatsoever or photo editing, you will be aware of freehand versions. Okay. If I cancel that one out and I go to automatic, it has an automatic tool which will select things of a certain colour, and you can add to this or not, as the case may be. Now, I'm not very good at doing this, and particularly at the moment, because I've got my iPad actually sort of lent up on the desk, as it were. But normally, you can tap on somewhere, and you can get the copy and paste menus, or cut, copy, paste, whatever it is, that you want actually coming up on that. There we go, there's the cut, but I can get the copy menu. And if I go to the top right hand corner, you've got layers, click on the plus for a new layer. And then when I come back into here, I can tap again and I can get the paste up and it will paste it. Now you can't really see what's happened there. So if I click on the layer, now you can see I have another layer there with that object pasted in. Now there are refinements to this, but as I said, I'm not heavily into the cutting, copying and pasting. It's not something I use too often. And at the moment, Procreate haven't got the updated book out yet, the online manual. They haven't updated it yet. They will do shortly, I'm sure. And eventually I will get through the whole lot. I will just read it from cover to cover and then I will be able to be a little more expert in my selection, copying and pasting and what have you. But at the moment I haven't. Now on the layers, one of the interesting things to note is that you swipe from right to left to either select, copy, duplicate or delete. So I'm just going to delete that one. Okay. And if you want to hide a layer, you can hide it like so. And if you have it selected, and you can have the whole lot selected, you can change things around. And I'll just move that instead of doing what I was going to do. So for example, the layer opacity, right to left, and you can alter all those things. Gaussian blur. Ooh, very blurry. There we go. Noise, curves, color, balance, all the usual sorts of things that you can actually do. And this one is of course your transform tool, so you can do various things like move it in and out, rotate it and change the size of it and all the usual stuff. Now the main thing, click off that, the main thing with this is obviously it's a painting app and the brushes. Now the brushes are many and varied. There are all sorts, clicked off of that. There are all sorts of brush types here, from very simple ones to complex strokes. I love the calligraphy pen. It is really, really nice. Now if I go to the gallery, I'm just going to pick a plain piece of paper. And I've got this set to calligraphy at the moment, and I've modified it. I can't remember what I modified it to, but I've modified it. At the moment it's orange. Now there's a colour chart in the corner, and I've got mine set to that colour mode. I'm going to set it to that instead. Pick a deep blue. Okay, now I'm going to write. Now this is really and truly what I wanted to be able to do with this app. The pens now and brushes have, if you click on them, they have streamlining. Basically, this is a line straightening mode. A smoothing mode, I suppose, is better. A smoothing mode. And that allows you to use your brushes in a way that we couldn't use them before. I could do some really nice smooth calligraphy using these. It flows. It is just really, really nice. Look at that. Whee. I love this. I can play with this for hours. Okay, so that's one of the brushes, but we have lots and lots of different variations. There are painting ones, there are artistic ones, airbrushing, and I do a reasonable amount of airbrushing, real airbrushing and digital airbrushing. We have abstract ones, charcoals, elements. One which is particularly nice, and I can't remember where it is, there's aged skin in here as well, which I think is great fun. Organic, water ones, objects. Now, these are largely ones that I've actually made, and it's really, really easy to make your own brush. If you want to make your own brush, you click on the plus button, you select your source. Now that would be your picture or your clip art or your painted line, whatever it may be. And then you select a grain. And your grain you import from various places, but you could import it from the Pro library, which is included in Procreate. And this gives you all sorts of grains to choose from. What the grain does is it fills in the shape that you have chosen to create your brush from. So, for example, if you just don't want any kind of texture to the fill, then you click on the blank. Collect a shape from somewhere. Let's see if the Pro Library's got a shape. Okay, try this shape. And so this is what the brush would actually look like. And if we do this, that's what that particular brush looks like. It's that easy to create a brush. Now you can do it if, for example, you've got a leaf or a flower or anything like that. Just copy it to your clipboard, get the image from your clipboard, and then fill it with whatever you want to fill it. And you can play for hours and hours and hours making different brushes. Okay, this is a smudge tool. Again, not one I tend to use an awful lot, but there again, it's one that I would probably play with. If I'm just doodling and I'm not doing anything in particular, quite often I do play with things that I don't use for my normal artistic purposes. Then you have the eraser, and again, you can choose what you want your eraser to erase as. So you might want it to erase as a studio pen, in which case it will do that. But if you choose to have it, let me see, airbrushing, you can choose that one, and it will be an airbrush eraser. So you're not stuck with just having very solid lines. And you can, of course, decrease or increase the size, and you can increase or decrease the opacity of the eraser and all the brushes. So you've got so many variations. It's absolutely amazing. This one is the layers, and if you swipe from right to left, you can select copy, duplicate or clear, and you can lock your layer simply by, you can block your layer, if you like, by simply tapping on it as to whether you see it or not see it. Okay, so those are the basic controls. Now, once you've actually mastered them, if you're into artwork anyway, you'll soon get the hang of it. If you haven't done any digital work, then consider getting this if you like the idea. Even the Pro version is only, I think, $5.99. And it is well worth the money. I mean, this sort of power in an app is the sort of thing that you would previously have had to buy Corel Draw or something like, AI, that sort of stuff, to do these kinds of things. Now, it is absolutely brilliant, I think, at what it does. It is relatively simple to learn how to use. I like the interface because it's not cluttered, and you can actually use this to do quite a lot of different things. Now, I tend to want to use my cutting machine, so I will export this and then I'll just trace it, and I can use it in my cutting machine, that sort of stuff. I also tend to do things like cartoony type drawings and things like that. And you have all the tools here you can possibly want. The other use for it, which I've found, which is great fun, is if you have access on the internet to all sorts of line images, and if you're into colouring, all those people who like doing adult colouring books and things, you can do that on here because you can import your image And then you can use all the various paint brushes to colour it in. And if you make a mistake, you can rub it out easily and you don't wreck your image. And then you can use it as a screensaver for your iPhone or whatever you've got. Or you can print it off or do what you like with it. And it's just another use for a fun app. I think that it's great for adults, but it's also intuitive enough that children could use it without it being a dedicated child's app. A lot of the child drawing packages are very, well, what can I say? They're a bit twee sometimes, and some of them are a little bit too simplistic. And any child that is used to using an iPad and able to hold a pencil will be able to draw on this. So even if it is for children, it will allow them to draw without having limits, which I think is a great idea, and without wasting tons and tons of paper. We all know how much paper children can go through when they're drawing and painting. And I think it's a great app to have. I love it if I'm going out, if I've got to wait around anywhere. If, for example, I'm going shopping with my husband and he wants to go into an electronics store or a DIY store or something, I wouldn't want to go in. I can sit in the car and I can play with this. Far more interesting. If you're in waiting rooms anywhere, waiting around, it's great. And if you're someone who uses it for work, it is also very, very good to use. And it will export in multi-formats, including PDFs these days. That's a new feature that they've added. Okay, I hope you found this useful. Take care now. Bye-bye.